Hey guys, it's Nathan with Bark Today we're going to do a little comparison of the 5SFE next to that sweet 3rd Gen 3S GTE. I did get you under false pretenses because the only possible person that's going to click on this is an MR2 lover because, let's be honest, random Joe's not clicking on this. What we're talking about today is the differences between the two, and then also I have a question and need your guys' help with a couple things. Hopefully one of you MR2, crazed aficionados, at some point, something. Anyways, one of you guys has information that I am lacking. So I bought this swap with the E153 LSD. Anybody that's been following is sick of hearing that, but that's okay. I'm excited about it. I bought this swap off of a guy. He had it in his 92. He bought the car that way, was going K-swap. So he sold me the whole kit and caboodle, axles, wiring harness, the whole thing as one unit. He said it was plug and play swap, that sort of thing. And I believe he believed that 100%. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at because I am not an MR2 guy, and I was unaware that the body harness is the big deal. Any other car I'm doing swaps on, a Honda, Toyota, whatever, the body harness, you pretty much just adapt it to the motor you're swapping. So you don't really mess with the body harness at all. And in this one, I was thinking, hey, it's probably going to be the same type of deal. It's the engine harness that you have to worry about, not the body harness. And I'm looking online, and there is a lot of convoluted information. I mean, I'm going back and forth, and about 90% of the posts that I read, and I'm searching it out, say, please use the search function. And they're like 8 years old. And so I've used the search function. I haven't posted any questions anywhere about this yet, but it's really frustrating. That's one of my pet peeves with forums, is because everybody's saying that, but then, especially with like the MR2, where its peak popularity was like in the early 2000s, so all of your tech articles, all that stuff, and where everybody was learning, and it was like an organic place where things were growing, and posts were being made, 90s, or not 90s, early 2000s. Even late 90s. So your posts, the oldest posts with tech articles are like 2003, and it's like, oh, I'm doing a 3S GTE 3rd Gen. Sweet. All the wiring you need to know. It's awesome. I'm like, yay, awesome. All my wiring I need. Click the link. Page not available. That's happened about 4,000 times. And anyways, it's not going to be terribly helpful to me because this motor already has been swapped and very clearly been modified. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. But let's first take a look at the motor and do some comparisons, some side-by-side action for you guys, since that's kind of what I promised in the title. But here we go. All right, guys, so you have them side-by-side. What you'll find out immediately is the 3S is not covered in every square inch in oil. 5SFE has lived a full life, 200 and some thousand miles in this bad boy. Anyways, she's had a full life. Supposedly has a new transmission. Don't know. Can't verify that. But this guy was a low mileage JDM motor, imported over. Guys put it in his 92 MR2, as we said. The guy bought the car with this motor in it, immediately had that K-swap dream in his grasps, so he did it. Fortunately, it's a 3rd gen, so I have the CT20. No turbo. It needs a turbo. Even a 5SFE deserves a turbo. I mean, they're good motors. Just needs a turbo. Intake manifold versus intake manifold. Honestly, I prefer this style, and I know that the newer revisions of the 3S had a intake manifold like that because you're putting your intake over the transmission, which means less heat soaking, whereas when this, fortunately, it does kind of go off to the side, but like, why not that way? Because that's a really hot turbo, and that's right over the top of it. So it's going to cook that, and then you put it in your intercooler, try to get it cool again, and then cram it in the hole. So that's the goal. But I think that, the revision that they did where you have, that's better plumbing. So water neck, they're all basically, the plumbing is really similar. I mean, even down to like silly things like the filler neck. Filler neck looks familiar. little doodad coming off of it, same angle. That's all going to plug and play. Heater core covered up because the guy was really cool and trying to pinch off those lines so that I didn't have fluid all over my wife's SUV. I'll put a link above. It was pretty bad. She was not happy with me. She was a good sport, but not happy. Okay, so then motor mounts, essentially the same, identical, yeah. Yep, same exact motor mounts. Axles are different. I've covered that a lot. That's why I'm doing all of the pressing business with the new axles, because if you look how little that is. Look how beefy those threads are. This one I haven't rebuilt yet. I rebuilt the other side, but have not rebuilt that. But yeah, this has, again, the S54. That's the E153 LSD. I can't even tell you how much of an upgrade that is. Transmission, several people reporting this in the 700 horsepower range. People blowing that up in the 180 horsepower range. Nothing wrong with this transmission. I've read too much. I don't have any firsthand experience. I'm going off of everything you guys are telling me. So I'm buying this on the understanding that E153s are awesome. 3rd gen revisions, even better. Upgraded synchros, I don't know the details, but yeah. And then the biggest thing, though, is like we were saying, that wiring difference. Because the charge harness is different. We have... So this one has that extra long cable, and then it has those two plugs there, and then that plug there, and I don't know what it all goes to, because I mean, here, let's see, how good can I be with one hand? It's not very good. All right, let's see, what can we do here? Okay, so here's my dilemma. So now that's not going to reach. We plug Boba Fett 1 in. Okay, this is a lot harder than it looks with one hand, you guys. Don't judge me. Okay, so we got one. Okay. We got number 2. And then I would love to say that's like a chassis patch harness thing and it's all ready to go, but it doesn't plug in. It just doesn't. It won't plug in. It's not right. Shouldn't have done that. So this guy does not plug into there, which we knew because this plug is supposed to be your body harness. But we have extra dingly dangs. So these come way out here. Is that something extra on 3rd gens I'm not aware of? Because that's not a lot of extra plugs. So we have that plug right there. We have that plug right there. This one here, which also plugs into the ECU left port, might add, right there. It'll go in there if you plug it in. Anyways, and then you have this guy. Coming over here, so things get real simple on the 5SFE, 91 5SFE. You have that guy, which we have on the other one. That's your starter relay circuit. You have these two, which are your ECU. And you have this guy. This guy he's a happy little fella. He just plugs into the body over there. So if we come to the car, we have, boom. That's our ECU plug. We have that guy. And we have our sweet little starter relay. And that's a wrap. That's all we have. There's nothing else to plug in back here. I mean, nada. So that's where we're trying to figure out what the heck. And I know this video is painfully long and you guys are like, it's real simple, stupid. Order a chassis harness. Well, I'd love to, but I don't think that's factory. Any of you guys that know a lot about MR2s, I would love to pick your brain and see what the deal is, because, man, I don't know MR2s at all. If this was a JZ, I can glance at a harness. Oh, that's a whatever. That's the VVTi. That's a 96 when they used the oil crank sensor on the block. Sweet. Things like that. Or that's a 94. That's a whatever. It doesn't matter. You get the point. It's monotonous. I know a lot about 2JZs. Do not know a whole lot about these. I've done some Camry stuff. I've done some Celica stuff. That's my extent of my knowledge of the 5SFE. Coming over to the 3SGTE, I haven't done much at all. I still have to figure out the speedo too, because this has the electronic speedo from a 3rd gen. Or the 3rd revision. I have the, obviously, 91, so it's mechanical, so that doesn't work. I know that you can get the 91 E153s or whatever, but yeah. Anyways, guys, if you have any information on this, hit me up. And if you want to see any more details on these two motors, because I'm going to have them in my presence for a minute, the 5SFE, the S54 is probably going to get sold. I know there's some guy somewhere that needs all the manual stuff. And since mine came with the shift linkage and everything for the E153, I literally will be selling the transmission with the shift linkage. Only thing that I won't be selling is the clutch pedal, but everything else will be there. So any hoot, I hope that someone found my information on the two motors helpful, and somebody can help me out. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks. Stay tuned.